Masters and focus them down. Hope Xylogen wisely ports, and Noff is left to creep. So looking at Xylogen's army, and you notice he has a guard tower going up in the back of his base. I'm curious if that was because he was worried about Wyvern or not, but anyways. Looking at Xylogen, it's 50 food for Noff, 36 for Xylogen, and part of that is his strong harass, and a huge part of the raiders in the map control. He's already burned a port. Remember I said how huge a game-changing moment it can be if you cost them the port. The next thing Noff does, when you have map control in Warcraft, you either extend or you creep really huge, and that's kind of how you increase your advantage. And he abuses raiders and ensnare, something you should learn how to do as Orc, to creep this Ogre Lord in the red camp more easily than he would have to if he had fought straight up over there. The other thing that's really intelligent is if the human had come into Jack, he can just run back to the fountain. And the human is caught, the creep's caught between the Orc army and the human army, and he doesn't have to burn a port. If he'd gone up there and been creep-jacked, he would have been caught between the human army and the creeps, and he would have had to burn a port. So that's basically creep luring. I spoke about it in my last game, but as you can see, it's still pretty valuable. And as a result, his Brilliance Aura now at level 1, which is exactly the same Brilliance Aura as Xylogen has, so that takes away that advantage on Xylogen's part. The next thing he does, and you should always be doing as Orc when you have level 3 Blade Master, scouts the human army. When he does that, this is the tower push is coming. The militia are coming, there's ivory towers. He probably can't fight it right now without walkers and with only 50 food versus 48 food. They're even food at this point. So he does something really intelligent, something that Satini did last game. It's Xylogen's base, and forces Xylogen to return. The raiders, great siege damage. You've definitely seen this before. Snare, everything that's repairing, and he doesn't really almost get the kill, but he succeeds in what he wants to do. Delays the tier 2 tower push even more. And notice while he'd been doing that, if you look back at his base, he now has walkers coming. He's at 59 food. He'd been banking at 50 food. So now he's, instead of fighting 50 food versus 50 food in his base, he's now going to be fighting at least 60 food versus 50 food. In basically the same situation, extra 10 food. Another thing, he's gonna have, he has walkers now, so he has Spirit Link, which is always good when you have huge amounts of units. He knows the tower push is coming, so he sends wood peons out. That's just extra fodder for Spirit Link. It spreads the damage out more. And he also builds the first demo, because that's extra damage to the casters, and it's a security measure in case the towers do get up. Because he knows he can probably win army versus army. So anyways, he still hasn't linked. There's a Kodo out for the extra damage boost. I mean, look at Xylogen, he knows he has army back because he's getting absolutely overwhelmed by raiders. He focuses, again, the first thing that takes a lot of damage is the Blade Master, which is smart because you don't want him in the battle. But an invulnerability potion, Noff had an invulnerability potion, sorry, and he's able to save the Master's life. And Xylogen really had no chance in this push whatsoever. Totally doesn't really matter how well he micros. His stuff's ensnared. Things are gonna die. He could be focusing down here now, but why bother? He's got such an army advantage. And Xylogen says, "Good game." So what just happened? Honestly, manipulation of timing on Noff's part. Unit manipulation. Because he went dual bestiary, he got faster ensnare, faster map control. It allowed him to be aggressive more earlier than normal. Gave him the red creep camp, it gave him Brilliance Aura, and truthfully, the end of the game, if he hadn't forced Xylogen back to his base by attacking the hull, it would have been a much different game. I think it would have been 50 food versus 50 food. He wouldn't have had the demo, the walker, the Kodo. Things would have been much different for Noff. I mean, I'm not saying he would have lost, but it definitely wouldn't have been as easy. He wouldn't have been able to overwhelm Xylogen, and probably the towers would have gotten up. So once again, timing manipulation. On the Orc's part, huge element to taking out the tier 2 tower push, which is what you don't want to be fighting ideally. I mean, whether or not you're cookie cutting like Grubby was, or whether you're changing your units up, you don't want to have the human in your base putting down ivory towers and massing militia and sorceresses. You can beat it, but it's not easy. Anyway, game 3. Get that loaded up. Let's get the 1x speed, Fog of War off. This is, I guess it's a league game, judging by the observers, between Legacy, who's now Ari Legacy, I think, and Holly Human. So get this paused at the 1 minute mark, 1x speed, Fog of War off. Legacy's point of view, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the map and the matchup on this map. One thing I want to do right away is thank Legacy for this game. He's a great guy. He's been helping me out a lot. He's one of those orcs that gives me tips, and he's really an up-and-coming player in the North American scene. He's been doing very well lately in leagues, blah 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 blah. So he's worth watching. Holyhuman probably doesn't need an introduction, Delta BenQ, so you've heard of his clan for sure. And he's been pretty well known along East for a pretty long time. He's a very strong human player, so you know this is going to be a pretty good match. The first thing I want to point out is this is Twisted Meadows, and humans tend to deviate from their standard builds on this map. You've got the game paused at the 1 minute, so go take a look at Holyhuman's base. His altar is already up. Archmage is, I'd say, 30% done, whereas if you look at Legacy's base, his altar's not even finished, so his hero's not even building. That's because Holyhuman's speed built his altar, and he's planning on militia creeping the Goblin Lab. He's got cross spawn, so truthfully the chance Legacy has of getting even a creep steal. The whole point of creeping the Goblin Lab, you know, it's very risky, and most humans will lose some peasants, either to the Blade Master or to the creeps. But the whole point of creeping it is that it's, first of all, instant level 2, which is what one wants, right? It can drop a Tome of Experience, which can put you well on your way to level 3 in minutes, which is insane and can really be game-breaking. And it also is a great item, and I'm pretty sure Holyhuman does get a good item in this game. So Legacy knows that Holyhuman is doing this. This is one of those things, it's just a pro thing that humans do. They do it on my level 2, so it's really not, I mean, you expect it. And Legacy has tailored his build to scout this. You'll notice his scout peon is already sent out even before his altar's gone. So that's an earlier scout than normal for the orc. So let's get this game unpaused, 1 minute mark. If you're not there, pause the audio. It's unpaused in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Okay, so earlier scout for Legacy and a later barracks. He uses the altar peon to build the barracks instead of scouting. What does that do? First of all, it tells him exactly where the human base is, because his peon will be, I mean, he might not see the human base, but by process of elimination, at least he'll be able to figure out where Xylogen is. Or sorry, not Xylogen, Holyhuman. And also, because he's his barracks, he's had peasants' peons on wood for longer, so his tech's going to be slightly faster. And because Holyhuman's done a speed build, his tech would be slightly slower. What that adds up to is if they both choose to tech, Legacy's tech's going to be much faster, which gives him faster tier 2 units, whatever he chooses to go. It's to his advantage to tech faster. Anyways, looking at Holyhuman, like I said, straight to the Goblin Lab. A human player should watch this replay for how this should be crept, because he really does a very good job of doing it. He takes out the slow golem first because it dies so quickly and because it casts slow. He makes sure the rock golem is focusing the water elementals. They're expendable because they have a lot of HP. And he successfully creeps it without losing a single unit. He gets a Tome of Agility +2, which would be good on the Blade Master, but no Tome of Experience. He does, however, get Bone Chimes, which are just an incredible item to have tier 1. I've had them, you know, you'd be upset if you were the human player, but when you consider Footman and Militia having Vamp Aura and Light Narration from attack, that's pretty strong. So Legacy, knowing exactly where human is, heads straight there, and he comes right after he's crept it, right after Holyhuman's crept the camp. So that's how strong this speed build is on this map. You really cannot stop them from getting leveled. Legacy has experience. The human has 302. So anyways, he does whatever he can, which is he knows there's going to be weak peasants, so he goes into the human's base, and here's what I'm talking about. Human players need to learn how to do this. Farm block goes off, and now Legacy's trapped, and it's an error on Legacy's part, point blank. I mean, he does get, he's already got a peasant kill, and he's going to get more for it. And he's also stopped the human from creeping. But because the Archmages die, those militia have a Vamp Aura on them. There's not much he can do. 3 peasant kills already, but he's forced to burn a port. A lot of you will hear let level 1 heroes die because rebuying the port, the town portal, is more expensive than reviving the level 1 hero. That's true, but that still doesn't mean you should do that. If he had let his hero die at this point, he would have lost the game, because right now Holyhuman's going to head straight to his base and tower him because he knows that the Blade Master is weak, and he'll be healing, etc. So Legacy's Grunt in near the shop scouts the Archmage.